All right, so everybody's wondering why I hadn't uploaded this yet. It's because right at the end of class, I realized there was a much better way of doing it, and then I wanted to get it done, get it figured out once cleanly, and then try to record it. So this is what we're going to try to do. It's close to what I had worked out in class, but first I just wanted to show you, remember we were looking at what are some key points on these, right? So these are some different spots that I wanted to use to control this spline, to control this spline, but also then to control the independent spline of the roof. Now, before I just fix some dimensions to it this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do a proportionate. So this right here, I'm going to do is about 1.25. I did this one as about 2, this one maybe 2.125, and then like 2.5 or something. So that way it's always a proportion of the distance of this whole thing. So I'll work, you'll see that as I unfold it. And that's something that a proportion we can change, but that way the arches are always doing it. What I figured out was the only way to get the rhythm of this to work out correctly, to where you could move it and it would stay correct, is instead of having a distance as I did in the tutorial, I actually just made it match this. So meaning I counted, I think I did, we'll see. I think I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I ended up making 12 segments for this one. I counted 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 segments for that one. So we'll have 12 and 14. And then I divided this one by 1, 2. That'll be kind of funny. So we'll do 12, 13, 14. That'll be an easy way to remember. But that way, which divided point this does to this one, it's always the right number. And then that way, when it stretches and changes, the X bracing didn't screw up. And that's what was happening when I was doing it the way we were doing in classes. I was actually getting, if it wasn't at the exact right spot, it wouldn't work. So what we're doing is something that works a little better like this, but is adaptable on its length. So I'm going to start with new family, generic model, adaptive. All right. And so I'll even start with, let's say, file, open family. Remember, we're going to have our previous basic component of open. I'm going to open some things that I did already. Tutorials. Okay. 30-ton brick. Just to walk through what this was, I'm going to dissolve it really quick so you can just see. I dissolve all this. This is just like our pipe. It's a 2-point adaptive pipe. I have our offset ends 6 inches right now, and I put a point up and point down. Okay, so what you're seeing is that I've got the point up and a point down being positive and negative, and then what that allows me to do is set a beam depth of 6, and that beam depth is being divided by 2, and a negative to put the points up and down. That way I wanted this beam to be from the center line. I also then have a beam width, which I can define as a certain width, and then I have to go half off each side. So that way when I grab this, when I drew the polyline around this, I can make an object. It of course comes out to one side. I tell that side to be half, and I tell the other side to be half. And I get the beam width that I want. So there's my block, okay? Now I have it set to an approximate size that is close to what the project wanted. Again, this isn't getting to where that shape adapts, it's just keeping it simple right now. That's where I started with that one. I then also did the silly strut. Which is nothing more than just dropping 3 points in, 1, 2, 3, and then putting our simple pipe in there and nothing more than that. I do go in and name it PO strut. That way it's not a generic, it's not my pipe folding back in. Remember, I'm always renaming the thing. That way the name isn't folding over on itself when you start bringing it in stuff. Okay, so those are just the two basic things that I started with. So we go back, generic model adaptive, my generic model adaptive. And what I found is I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And I found it was really because I hadn't realized the patterning. You remember how we were all of a sudden realizing that the way the structure works is that it wasn't that there's a gap. It was just that the large arc and the small arc were every other, and then the V's, the knee bracing, the V bracing, they fall in line with each other as they're stacked in front and behind each other. So it's like, oh, so it's actually just 3 lines, and that would work. So so I've got these 3. I'm going to do reference line. Show me 3D snap, just turn this on. And I'm going to always go from this side to this side. Okay, escape, do another one. Escape, and do another one. Okay. All right. And now I'm going to actually divide each of these by 10. Actually, I want it by 11. That works. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. So divide by 11, I want to get 10 spots. Okay. So these are there. Now, previously, when in class, I selected these dots based on these things, and I raised them all up on one line. This is what I realized is that I'm going to move some of them up on this line, but then the roof form, I'm going to move them up on the 2 outer ones. This allows me to control several things. In essence, putting this all into one. Now, so let's look at this really quick. Let's do the center one, right? So what are the arches? I need one here and one here. So that's on 4 and on 6. Okay, so on 4 and on 6, I need to come up to some level. So SW, 1, 2, 3, 4. So somewhere SW. Yeah. Should have thought through it. It's not on divided surface. I got the points at 4 and 6. Remember, it's 1, 2. This one's supposed to be a 40. 0.4. It's the only way I can push it. 0.4 and 0.6. Okay. Sorry about that. So, because I want to build the SW and set it onto this exact plane, I can't use divided surface. SW. Okay. So now I've got a point on each of these, right? It's going to be negative and be a pain. Right. All right. So what we're going to do is I want these to have gone up a certain height, and I want to control those heights, right? So I'm going to grab them. They're different heights. Now this one is right here. I'm saying that is about, I think let's do 1.5. No, let's do like 1.3. So 1 1/3 of that based on this whole segment. Does that make sense? So 1 1/3. So that height, of course, it's going to be the negative because the line's running the wrong way. New. I'm going to say label A. Label them there, and I'm going to say it's an instance. Okay. And then this one, if we look at this. This was A, this was, let's say the next, this is B, so this was a little bit higher. That's about a solid 2, I'm going to say. In instance, because we want it to be controlled. Okay. Now, we want it driven by a certain height. So this is where I always do, if I'm going to make a reference line, I'm going to go SW and put it on that one. And you got to go, as long as you grab the plane, it's all right. Okay, grab that, make it a thing. Niche instance reporting, right? This is the dimension that's reporting. Okay, so now we can go in here and say level A, what did I just say? Snitch times asterisk times, I said A was 0.13. Oh, it went down, remember, because this is all on the negative, and so now I've got to remember that I got to go negative snitch. I'll do that same thing because I look about right. I'm just going to copy and paste in here, but there I said this was about 2, right? Okay, now we got some heights. All right. Now, if we looked at this, I also needed, this point's going to go to right where that one is. So that, and this one goes from that way. That's actually why I got these to line up, because then those 2 points at 4 and 6 are actually the only points I need, right? Oh, you know what? That's at 0. No, this is 0. I needed one at 1 also. 1. So that's the 4th one in. So this is actually at 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%. That's right. So I put that one at 4, but I also need the one at 1. Because that's where this is starting. 0.1. Okay. So I can do reference spline from 1 to here to here. I can also go reference spline from 1 to here. And you know what? I'm always going to be safe. Let's undo that. I'm going to put a point here. And let's just put it at 9.5 right now. I can move it to 0 later when I want it. I just always like to make sure I know what I'm connecting on. I never like trying to connect it, just a big knob of points, because I think there's always something weird about it. I want to make sure I know exactly what I'm connecting to. See, I know I'm on that point. I can move it over there when I need to. All right. So we said I need to divide this one. I want 12 spots. This gets a little weird. Fixed number, all right, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. So this is where it's funny. You actually have to increase the number because it's counting both the spot at the end and spot the other. So if I wanted 12, I actually got to put 13. I know this gets really weird, but it's because it's counting the first points. Then I was doing like one segment, right? So this is where I was looking at, if that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then you have to count the first point actually. So that's 13, right? So there's that one. This was 12, 14. So now I'm going to divide that by 15, adding 1. Oops. I hit a point for some reason. Okay, so I got those divided the way they're supposed to be, right? Okay. Now, before I put those, I put the roof profile on that same line. This is where I'm going to switch this up a little bit. And we need these points there, there, there. So I need a point on 1, 5, and 9. And then I'm going to raise those up a different height. Okay. So I'm going to put point. That one. Those are both at 1. 5 will lock. There's 5 because the midpoint always hits. 5 and 9 is about here, and maybe about there. Now what's nice is I can grab both of these at the same time, at least a little bit of time, and say 1. Both of those. 9. Okay. Now, with that done, we need to raise points up on them, right? So let's figure out what those heights are. What's nice is this one is that, so this first one goes up the same height as that. So level A is going to be used there. We're going to have a level that was B, C and D. Okay, so 2 more levels, C and D, and they'll be a little bit higher than the other ones. So first, I'm going to grab this one, go OSW, tab, SW, tab. Oop, I think it might have been that one. No, it was good. Okay. We can grab both of those and automatically go up to level A because it's already set to what we want. All right? All right. There's the first part of the roof. Now, these ones, SW, tab, set, SW, tab, set. And we're actually going to make a new one right now, right? This is going to be new level C instance. Okay. We'll come back and tell what it is, and then we're going to put 2 more points. W. Grab both of them again. What are their heights? New level, we're controlling level D. Oh! I have to go back in and change that. I didn't make it an instant. Okay, so let's go in, let's control those heights first. D is going to be edited to an instant. Okay. Then I'm just going to make sure, so control copy. Control V, control V. Okay, but we wanted these a little higher, right? So this one was like 5, and maybe 5. What I was doing is just saying, if that's 2, this seems like 2.25, 2.5. Maybe that's like half of that. Yeah, that seems about right. Close enough. So now all of a sudden we've got some rails. And what's nice about this is, so I realized, is now all of a sudden, no matter how many times you divide the arc, what we're getting is the actual rail that the knee brace attaches to, and that pie wedge, the V, will always be accurate to what you need. So let's say reference spline 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And all of a sudden we got that. Now remember, I divided this by 13, which means 14. So I'm going to grab these 2, 5. All right. All right, now this is kind of big and absurd, but I'm going to start doing something. Now, there's a couple layers of stuff that's going to happen here. We can look at this really quick. The first one, it's like 1. The second one is going to kind of the first dot. The third one's going to the second. So 1, 2, 3. Let's say the edge, the next one. Okay. So 1, 2. Let's say the third dot, put 1 dot in, just to make sure. So I'm going to load the strut in. And I said the third dot. It's for the second on the rail. Oh, I just totally screwed up. Let me just make sure. If I count that one. Yeah, the third one. Second. Curved one is the base. Ah, Jesus, I'm screwing. Ah, just click. Okay, do a few more of these. Now, I'm not arraying because there's this, I'm not just hitting the repeat button because it's just a controlled amount. And I'd probably spend more time deleting the ones I don't want or something along those lines. So I'm going to start with that. One more. I normally don't like going to the end ones, but I'm going to go to the end ones this time. I need one more here. I'm going to grab this will. Let me grab that point and not that point. Aha. All right, and this transitions at some point, so I think I'm going to do this one. I can tell that. I think I need to move that vertice a little bit. Let's see. I think I'm going to drop that point down a little bit. It just seems a little too high. That arc of B, I think it was B. Let's do this at one point. There we go. That's more right. All right. So this was the closest way where I could get it to where when it adapts, they stay, they fall in the kind of line they're supposed to. And actually, if we look at it, this one might want to come from there. Let's see, what does that look like? No, it's kind of right. It's pretty close to what's happening. I mean, whether it come from, seems like it's got that one. All right. Now, what else do we want to do here? We got to put those little the blocks in. I'm going to load this in, and I am going to just grab those 2 points, and I will repeat them. Okay, and I'll do the same out here. Now, there's something nice about this, but then also something really frustrating that's not struck. Okay, in the other model I did in class, I had built those in the family, and then I dropped that family in here. The wonderful thing about doing that is it allowed me to control the visibility of that as its own parameter that I can just turn off when I loaded it in. The problem is that when you bring that in, the divided points that are nodes here are not something that the logic passes through. So although I seem to snap to it with these, when I then load this in somewhere else, the struts don't connect to those actual divided points. So I have found that we're going to work through it a different way where I'm just going to actually make I'm going to build the whole thing, but then I'm going to delete 2 of these files, save it as one file, delete the larger arch in these, and save it as a different file instead of using visibility, because I cannot grab this and turn it on and off like it is when it's a component that I load in. So one kind of little slightly frustrating thing. I wish the points would have held. Okay, so now I'm going to look at, the idea that this isn't a roof form later. This was interesting. It just hit me that because it's faceted the whole way, meaning it's a flat surface, I actually had just, remember before I just made a silly, just a box that was like a 4-point adapted box. So 4-point, no, flat. So just a 4 points made a form, right? And now there's no detail to this yet, but we should kind of give it, I'm going to make it a little thinner than it was. What is this set at right now? 2 feet. Let's just make it like 1 foot. And actually, let's negative, we're going to raise it up. Let's just raise it up like 6 inches. No, -6. Okay, so now this is a 6-inch floating panel, right? 6-inch floating panel floating 6 inches above on any given points that I put this, right? It was just literally, I'll do this again so you can see. This is nothing more than just saying, I just, completely from scratch. Nothing more than saying point 1, 2, 3, 4. Make adaptive. Reference straight lines. Make sure you're grabbing 1, 2, 3. And then I made form. And then I said I wanted this 1 foot, but I wanted this -6 inches. All right. So I'm going to save. I'm going to load this into that family. Now, what's interesting, so now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to snap to these points. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Now I've got a little box, it's floating there, and I can repeat that on that surface. We don't need to make the surface in this case, because it actually is fast. It is a flat surface between those. So there's something kind of interesting about just making it happen with those. At the same time, I was thinking, wow, now I could, let's say I go into that, and let's load family, and let's load in our basic beam. And I'm going to go between 1 and 2. I'm going to make 2 different beams in here. So adaptive beam. I'm going to duplicate small. I should name these more than just small and large. Sorry. Large beam. Small beam. Okay. Large beam. My parameters. Depth is going to be width. It's like 6 inches. Let's make these a little thinner. Offsets, let's say 6 inches. 2 foot depth. Okay, so this is a bigger beam, 2 foot deep. Okay. Large beam is going from here, here, and from here to there. Actually, I want them both. I'm just going to grab both. Yeah, let's change it this way. I have negative here as the offset. I'm going to go positive. That seems a bit much. But they are pretty deep. Let's say those larger beams are, let's just do 1 foot beam depth. Okay, there are bigger ones crossing, let's just imagine make that like that right now. Okay. And let's load that in. All right, now we get our beams crossing where we wanted them also. All right, so this is where I kind of got before, but I'm going to file save this. Save. First, well, let's do large I POI. Okay, I'm gonna try this file. Save as family. Small POI. Okay. So if this is the small POI, I'm going to just delete this. Delete, 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 delete. Okay, so this is the small pi. I'm going to say save. This was the small, right? Small. I'm going to say file, open the large pi, and do the same thing, but opposite, right? So this is instead of silly way of the visibility. I think I should be able to just interchange these two since it's the same adaptive point. So now, save this. Now I built it and I just deleted off the ones I don't want in the other model, right? So kind of a total cheat, but file new, conceptual maps. And I'm just going to do an arc. Like that. And let's put a point. Let's divide this by like 12. All right, let's see what happens. I'm going to load in, let's load in the large one. Load it into, what is this one called? What is it? Okay, I'm going to work this a little bit. Go 1. Patience. It takes all 3. This is what I realized. So now we got the wedge the correct size it needs to be because we got that in there. Okay. Now, this is where if I could get the visibility turned on and off, I would have just repeated this and selected the small arch or large arch. But what I'm going to do is actually just escape, and now load in the small one. Here's my small. File. Did I close that file? No, here's the small. Load that in. 2. And let's do this again. I wonder if it allows me to select 2 things and repeat, like it doesn't know that it wants it every other. Maybe. I don't want to put this in every time, but let's see. One more. There's both of them. That line, you see it staggered. Now, just because I made the arch adaptive, every time this arch changes its length, the height of this will change. So there would have to be a little more play to make things happen. But I want to see. I haven't tried this. If I grab 2 of these things, oh, a P to the left. Let's see if it actually does every other. That's funny, I haven't done that before. Does it just crush it all? I think it actually will know to go every other. That'd be so smart. Oh man. All right. All right. So got every other, got it going, and got them all lining up to where they need to be, which is really pretty damn crazy. What's nice is, again, you still have these points that you can connect to make the walls at the mid height. In the same way,